into other funnels, and then you can use the driver with things.
And you're talking about open rates. The other key thing we see is, while open rates are obviously 100, the opt-out rate on SMS it's minuscule. I mean, it's like we can't even count it because it's so small.
If it adds value, right? Well, that's a key way. If it's relevant, and if it adds value.
Yeah, I mean, because we do it we do it across channels. So we use our SMSing, whether it's to drive in-store, whether it's about an event, whether it's to talk about some new arrivals. We just had a campaign about, the jacket for Original Penguin. And, we would use it around that. So, I mean, you can use it for anything.
Yeah, and I would say, like to the point, it has great marketing applications. But you have to stay relevant and make sure you're delivering value, or else you're going to see those opt-out rates start to skyrocket. But going back to some of the things other folks said about SMS, I mean, SMS can be very transactional. As we've heard from a lot of our good friends from throughout Latin America, one of my good friends who's part of my little nerd group that we talk tech all the time, he put together an amazing SMS gateway that ties into all the oil pumps the gas pumps at Walmart. So when you don't have your wallet, you basically have set up an account with basically this company, and then when you go to the gas pump and you maybe don't have your wallet with you, but you've got your phone, you can basically text it, and they'll say, hey, here's the pump number and the code, and you punch it in, and they turn on the pump and you pump your gas. And so it's not just marketing, there's a lot of transactional value.
Let's take some questions from the audience for a moment. I see someone with a microphone here, go ahead.
Thanks very much. A question about the open rates on SMS. I mean, is it also and you talked about the 12% crushing conversion. I mean, is that also a function of the fact that not a lot of people are doing it? I mean, right now, and so there's a little bit of novelty. I'm envisioning a future where everyone's starting to get it. Everybody's pushing me targeted SMS messages, and so now it's not as unique. It's not, the urgency is lost on me because now I'm getting kind of.
I think it's a great question. I think, the beautiful thing about SMS right now is it breaks through the clutter, right? It breaks through the spam and direct mail and the advertising, the commercials that blur through your head. You're getting a very concise, snack-sized bite. It's interesting to you because you opted in to receive that SAX alert, right?
I think that's the key right there. Is it's 100% opt-in.
Yeah.
So you're not spamming anybody. Anyone who has opted in to receive one of these messages has physically put up their hand essentially and said, hey, yes, I want to speak to that brand. So when you're receiving these messages, there are only 160 characters here in the US, including the mandated carrier copy. It's not a lot of time and effort to actually open and read one of these
I would add that when that customer is raising their hand, you also have to keep in mind, you have to respect that relationship with the customer. And this is something I feel that Visa organizations have not done very well, in that customers sign up and say, yeah, I want to opt in, and what do we provide them? We're giving them the same generic offers that everyone else gets. Where I think there's so much value in mobile, and SMS is obviously one of the great tactics that you can employ in the marketing campaign is you can get very specific. You can learn a lot about your customer through the other channels that you're touching, and then you can really target specific messaging to them via SMS. But don't be spamming them like just endlessly.
We have another question from the audience back there.
I'm interested in what your thoughts and experiences, the person from Macy's and from Perry Ellis, on location-based marketing within an SMS component.
I started doing location-based marketing in Japan way back when, and I'm a big proponent of it. I think there's so much there. I think it comes down to that factor of the opt-in process. The customer understands what they're getting into with you. Those are some of the things that I think have to be at the forefront. But I mean, with location, you can get a lot of relevance. Okay, I'm in Miami, so am I going to let somebody know about an event to sell coats? No, I'm going to let them know about, hey, we got something that's more suitable for Miami. If someone's in New York, here's what's going on with coats. And then you can get down to the store level. You can get down to, hey, if I know someone's going near a competitor, can I send a message to maybe potentially poach that customer and bring them closer to my store?
Great, Michelle.
I would second that. I have a big initiative this next year kicking off around personalization, and I think location-based is part of personalization. The more that you can personalize that message, whether it's geographic, whether it's content, whether it's some messaging because you know what their purchasing behavior is, the better you are.
And you need to have a good team of people. I feel, foundationally, working across your organization to collect this data, because we all have it. It's not that we don't have enough data about customers, we almost have too much data. And the problem is that it sits in these silos, and you have people who don't know what it means. and you have people who want that data, but they can't get to that data. So if organizationally you have to think, are we building out, are we enabling people to access this data, look at it in a meaningful way, and then utilize it to provide more value to our customers.
Great, thank you. Any other questions from the audience? Got one back there? Yes.
One is kind of a common question. One of the advantages, I think, of SMS is that you can hit all the feature phones as well as the smartphones. Is that one of the benefits you see?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, especially when you talk about a brand that's going global, like we just launched international shipping, and we're starting to venture into foreign markets. This is an area I'm very passionate about. I love working internationally and bringing new brands into new countries. SMS, I think, really gives you scale that you can't get in any other way. And I always look at things as there's a base and a plus. So what is the base that gets me the most possible reach? And then as you start to understand your customer, you start to understand what devices that your customers are carrying, then you can build on that experience. And you can provide richer experiences to different segments. So maybe people who are on iPhones are of a certain type of shopper versus an Android, you're going to get a more true representation of the US population. So I've had debates with people who are like, well, Android doesn't perform as well as iPhone. I said, well, there's a more variety of iPhone that caters, so we can deliver different experiences across these different platforms that are suitable.
Drew and Matt, when you talk to your clients, what are you pushing them towards? Are you pushing them towards SMS more than one technology or another? Or what do you recommend? How do you frame your
definitely lead with SMS because it's ubiquitous and everybody can receive a text and send a text, right? There's more and more of our text messages getting pushed towards a mobile experience, right? 7% of the web traffic in the world comes from mobile devices. It's pretty huge. It's a big number. And that's growing every year. So, SMS for sure. It's the only way to really talk to your customer, right? We can associate data points what's your preference? Email, are you female? Where do you live in the world? What's your buying habits? So we can really start to drill down relevant messaging.
Yeah,
so,
I think that's
SMS and then leading SMS into either a web experience or an app or a sweepstakes or.
Yeah, I think as I mentioned, messaging, and I like to call it messaging now, not just SMS. MMS is becoming more prevalent in the market, especially here in the United States as well. A lot of brands launching those types of campaigns. A lot more ability to send richer content. But mobile is very much that, and messaging is that horizontal medium that sort of ties all those vertical mediums together very nicely. And as far as path to purchase, we're talking about that direct line of communication. Once you have an opt-in, once you have a relationship with that consumer on their mobile phone, you can send them a marketing message in some sort of a offer special or reminder. You're talking about going from a dumb pipe, which we've seen over the last number of years, to a much smarter pipe, where we're talking about integration to the back end, into the e-commerce, and understanding where that person is shopping, how often they're shopping, what they're shopping for, and when we're communicating to those consumers, we're now able to provide much smarter and intelligent messaging back to those consumers, which ultimately drives them back to purchase.
And going back to that point about transaction, SMS is a gateway. It starts the whole workflow. When I look at things like how SMS can kick off MMS, so you can start pushing down application, you can be pushing down content, you can be pushing a lot of stuff back down through that same channel.
It certainly becomes the common denominator. Were there any other questions from the audience? Yeah.
Talking about response codes, so are any of you working with a short code to say when you've targeted, you sent this information to them on, let's say, an SMS, but you want their response?
I think I give you, for instance, one of our clients, Coach, uses SMS to acquire email addresses in the store. So we're using that channel not just to market text messages or SMS messages. We're using it to capture information. We've done programs for Secretary of State Hillary Clinton where the general public can text questions in. It's just another method of communication, right? Everybody has the world in their pocket.
I would add to that, when you really think about the world of applications, I think everyone's people who are not too savvy, and a lot of folks who are sitting up in pretty high-level positions, the only thing they can think about is iPhone apps. Applications that are native to the device.
So sick of it.
And I'm so sick of hearing it because I started writing code when I was in junior high school, and
The nerd factor.
You're such a nerd.
And I was
Who was on
fascinated.
this panel?
So I was,
We never would have guessed that.
So, I mean, one of the things I thought about is like, well, you don't have to put applications on devices. I mean, going back to the concept of a dumb terminal, you know, you can build really robust applications on the server side that live out there. I don't want to say the cloud because it's always been the cloud. Okay, you've had these things out there for a long time. So the cloud's nothing new. It's just a buzzword in my opinion.
And reading my diary.
I hacked your computer. But through SMS, for example, I can access those applications. So we launched a program called Ask and Answer, where I can, for example, text in a query like, hey, I want to know what are the hottest pair of men's jeans. So I can text that into Macy's, and then Macy's will hit our search database and go, okay, here's, based on what we know about our customers and reviews, here's the top sellers and highest rated products, and we can deliver a response right back. So you can provide customers access to these rich applications. Granted, the UI is not super rich, but you can still
Simple messaging is going to have you.
and then you can build up the plus. So you can include in that message, hey, if you want, go also visit the website, and so you can drive them to the app or the web.
We've got that. We sort of covered that. Any other last questions from the audience?
I guess what I was asking about was a
Sure.
short.
Now you're going for 3. Okay. Does anyone else have a question? Okay. No, go ahead.
What I was asking about shortcode, I mean, I like what Michelle was saying in terms of the customization. I think that's very important. So if you're going through a store and you put a shortcode on something and say, look, you want information on this, you want a special coupon, are any of your clients